I'm Scarlett, a 37-year-old, childless, working housewife. Today is our 5th wedding anniversary, and also my husband Everett's birthday, who is the same age as me. Everett is a handsome salesman at a famous company and seems to be quite successful, but he often works late and entertains clients, so we don't see each other much. Our wedding was a simple weekday ceremony with family and a few friends, as we both had weekend jobs and struggled to find a common schedule. Everett strongly wanted it this way. So, for our anniversary and his birthday, I asked him to come home early. I took a half day off from work. I bought his favorite Wagyu steak, wine, and cake at a department store and set a stylish table. I waited for Everett to come home. However, despite my insistence on coming home early, he didn't return. I received a single email saying he had urgent work and would stay at the office. Disappointed, but understanding it was work, I cleaned up the dinner and went to bed, feeling a little doubtful since he had said he wasn't that busy. The next morning, I went to work as usual, and my messages to his phone went unread. No response to my calls either. Worried, I called his office and was shocked to learn he had resigned the day before and apparently found a job in a neighboring prefecture. I hadn't heard a word about this. I rushed home and saw his shoes at the entrance. I burst into his room to find him packing his belongings in a suitcase. "What's going on?" In my surprise, I opened my eyes wide and asked him that, and he said, "What, you already found out?" while clicking his tongue and handing over the divorce papers. "What's going on?" With cold eyes, he repeated my question and said, "Let's get a divorce." "Why? What for?" "I'm fed up with you not fulfilling your role as a wife. You prioritize work, don't cook, do laundry once a week, and the room is dusty. I don't need a wife like that." "Wait a minute. For the past 2 years, I made dinner and waited, but you always said you had eaten and didn't eat it. That's why I stopped cooking." "Still, it's a wife's duty to cook and wait. Besides, your cooking is terrible, so I started eating out." At the beginning of our marriage, he used to say my cooking was great. I shuddered at his cold voice and argued that we had agreed when we got married that I would do the laundry and cleaning on my days off, Wednesdays and Thursdays. But he just rolled his eyes and said, "So, I should put up with a dirty room from Friday to Tuesday? That's a joke." "What happened to you all of a sudden?" "I never thought you wouldn't quit your job even after 5 years of marriage. When I got a job offer, I thought it was a good opportunity." "A good opportunity to divorce?" Everett never complained about my work or housekeeping, and there was no sign of him wanting a divorce. "Well, you never noticed how dissatisfied I was. I don't need a wife like that. I rented an apartment near my new job, so I won't be coming back to this room." With that, he pushed me aside, standing in front of the door, and left the house with his suitcase. I stood there dumbfounded, unable to comprehend what had happened. A week later, I attended a high school reunion. I wasn't in the mood to go, but I had already paid the membership fee, and I hadn't been able to contact Everett since then. I was feeling frustrated every day, so I thought it might be a good change of pace. When I went, there were divorced and single mothers among my classmates, and everyone was living strong lives. Until then, I had only hoped for an improvement in my relationship with Everett, but when I thought about it, if we reconciled, I would have to follow him to his new job location. If that were the case, it would be impossible to stay at my current job considering the daily commute, even though it's just in the neighboring prefecture. On the other hand, after working for 17 years since graduating from junior college and receiving a decent salary, it would be almost impossible to earn the same income in the new location. Everett had completely rejected me, and I began to think maybe I should give up. What made it definitive was a phone call from Everett urging me to move. We had been living in a rented apartment, and Everett was a tenant. The lease renewal period was approaching, and it seemed the real estate agent had contacted Everett. "I told them we'd move out in a month, so get rid of everything by then." "I'm still living here. And you didn't consult me at all," I complained, to which he replied, "I'm the one renting it. I don't need to consult you," in a combative tone. I realized that it was really hopeless and said, "Fine, I'll clean up my stuff this weekend or next weekend. Get rid of not just your stuff, but also everything left in my room and the furniture." "What?" I was ticked off when I heard that. "What are you talking about? This room was originally rented by you when you were single, and most of the furniture has been used since then. Most of the other furniture and appliances were bought with your credit card. I'll dispose of the furniture and appliances I mainly used, but naturally, you're responsible for disposing of the rest and covering the disposal costs." When I replied, he hung up. What a stingy man, taking only his precious belongings and leaving all the cleanup to me. This made me determined to divorce him. Over the weekend, I sorted out the closet, reminiscing about the happy times we'd had since we got married. There were many things belonging to both me and Everett. Among them, I found his high school graduation album. Come to think of it, all the friends Everett introduced me to were from after college. I absent-mindedly flipped through his graduation album. That's when I noticed something unexpected. I submitted the divorce papers and reported it to Everett by email. A week later, in the evening, I received a reply from Everett with a picture, which was a marriage registration form for him and a woman. I was astonished and stared at it when he called me. "Did you see it?" "What does this mean?" "It's exactly what it looks like. I just had a wedding ceremony and remarried that woman." "You're kidding." "She's super beautiful, rich, and has a great personality. She asked me to marry her as soon as we divorced. This is proof. Isn't it amazing?" "So you were cheating on me while we were married?" "I'm popular, unlike you, who only has your job going for you. Oh, by the way, her father built us a house on their property, and I transferred to her hometown with his help. It's a mid-sized company, but I'm an executive." Everett must have really wanted to brag about remarrying his rich affair partner, but as he nonchalantly answered, a strong anger rose within me. He said there was a problem with me and divorced me, but it was actually to remarry his affair partner. He said they had been dating for over 2 years. They met at a pub with his co-workers, and she was one of 4 women sitting at the next table. Apparently, when Everett spilled his drink on his clothes, she wiped it off, and that's how they started talking. "Man, she's the same age as you and me, but she's super beautiful and looks like she's 10 years younger. She quickly wiped my clothes with a pretty handkerchief." According to Everett, when he took her to a restaurant to thank her, he learned she was a landowner's daughter. She had an arranged marriage at her parents' suggestion, but was troubled by her husband's infidelity. After saying, "I need to fix my bad parts, she's totally different from you," I was instantly attracted to her, he said, and then aggressively pursued her. She started dating Everett without divorcing her husband. Isn't it normal to question the woman who dates 2 men while trying to be devoted to her husband? But Everett, blinded by love, didn't notice. "A woman who doesn't support her man is no good. You prioritize work and don't care about your husband. You're not right for me." "Huh? You can't stand on your own, so you want me to support you?" I couldn't help but yell at him, and Everett seemed annoyed as well, saying, I'm so glad I'm finally free from a woman like you. Stella is the best after all." "Stella? Is that her name?" "Yeah, it's written with the characters for double and flower, like the double cherry blossoms. She was born when the double cherry blossoms were in full bloom. Her parents have a great naming sense. They are true celebrities." As I listened to Everett's voice, enchanted with her unique name, I remembered something. "Did you really marry such a wonderful woman? You're not lying?" Pretending to say this, Everett's pride was hurt. "She's the best wife with a great family background and personality. Look at her elegant beauty." As I expected, he sent me a picture of the 2 of them at their wedding. No doubt, it's her. I couldn't help but burst out laughing. "What's so funny? This is proof that we really got married." "Uh-huh, sure, it's real." I can't help but laugh, unable to say anything more. "Hey, stop laughing. We really got married, and there's a baby in her belly." "What? No way." I can't stop laughing. I get it. Losing me must have made you go crazy. Everett interprets my laughter in a way that benefits him and says dreamily, in 3 months, we'll have a baby girl. She'll definitely be as beautiful as Stella. Well, even if she looks like you instead, she'll still be beautiful. Everett has a sweet, idol-like handsome face. For some reason, he gets a little flustered and says, no, she doesn't need to look like me. Hearing that, I burst out laughing again. Everett says, go crazy on your own, goodbye, and hangs up the phone. Eventually, he'll find out why I was laughing. I can't wait for that day. Afterward, we had some disputes over alimony and property division, but I managed to get millions of dollars from Everett through a lawyer. Everett agreed to pay alimony for his share, not wanting to cause her emotional distress during her pregnancy. 2 years passed without any contact, and then I finally received a heartbreaking email. Please, Scarlett, I beg you, please listen to me. Reluctantly, I answered the phone call that came right after the email. As expected, it was about the child born between him and Stella. Well, kids tend to look like their parents, right? Of course! Who else would they look like? Yeah. Apparently, the baby girl doesn't look like the beautiful Stella at all. I tried saying, she's only 2 years old, right? She'll change a lot as she grows. But he couldn't be convinced, thinking it's strange that there's no resemblance at all. Well, I guess that makes sense. When I asked, holding back laughter, doesn't baby look like you? He suddenly panicked and said loudly, no, she doesn't, but it's okay. It's okay that she doesn't look like me. He secretly did a DNA test to check for Stella's infidelity, but the results confirmed that both Everett and Stella were undoubtedly the child's parents. So there's no doubt that she's your child. Everett wouldn't let the conversation end there. Hey, when I told you 2 years ago that Stella was pregnant, you laughed a lot. Do you know something? Wow, he remembered that. Well, yeah. Actually, Stella and I went to the same high school and were in the same grade. We were never in the same class during those 3 years, so I didn't know much about her, but I remember her being the daughter of a landlord and having a haughty, bad personality. At a class reunion about 2 years ago, the topic of Stella and her plastic surgery came up. Stella, with her single eyelids, small eyes, button nose, and slight overbite, was self-conscious about her looks and apparently underwent several procedures at a famous cosmetic surgery clinic in New York after high school. She didn't attend the reunion, so I couldn't see her face, but a friend later sent me before and after pictures of her. American cosmetic surgery is amazing. When I told Everett about this, he didn't believe me at first, but then realized that he'd never seen any childhood or graduation album photos of her. Was I deceived? Damn it! Stella acted all meek while we were dating, but it turns out she cheated on me multiple times and got divorced. She's been sued for alimony by several of her ex-husband's wives. I'm going to confront her. Maybe you shouldn't. Huh? Why not? Well, the child doesn't look like you either, right? Usually, girls are said to resemble their fathers. When I said that, Everett was at a loss for words. She can't look like you. You've had plastic surgery too. How did you? When I moved out of the apartment we lived in 2 years ago, I found your high school graduation album. You looked like a completely different person, so I was shocked. After seeing that album, I understood why he never introduced me to his college friends, insisted on having a modest wedding, and only invited a few colleagues from work. Everett probably had plastic surgery while he was in college and was afraid of being exposed by his friends at the time. I don't think there's anything wrong with plastic surgery, but you have to consider that your child might look like your original face. What should I do? What do you mean, what should you do? Just be a normal father. The results showed that the child is definitely yours. With that, I hung up the phone and blocked his number and email address. He's such a narrow-minded man, just because the child's face isn't what he wanted. A year later, a friend with a child the same age as Everett's showed me a picture of her child entering kindergarten, and the child was adorable. The child simply didn't resemble the current Stella or Everett. But according to my friend who became friends with Stella, Stella also expected her child to look like Everett after his surgery. My friend has to listen to her complain almost daily, saying I shouldn't have given birth to such a child. Seriously, they're the worst couple ever. And it seems Everett cheated again, so my friend even got divorce advice from Stella. Everett is such an idiot. If he ends up divorcing Stella, he'll have to pay alimony and child support. Plus, since Stella is a rich lady, there's no telling how much money she could get if she hires a skilled lawyer. Furthermore, according to my friend who became friends with Stella, even the local kids know about her plastic surgery, and her daughter is being excluded at kindergarten, being told, "Your mom is actually ugly." It's a relief that Stella's parents seem to love their granddaughter, but it's really sad for the child. Well, it's none of my business anyway. As for me, I managed to rent an apartment in a convenient location for commuting. Now that the distance is shorter, I can do cleaning and laundry after I get home, and I can spend my days off entirely on my own interests. I've deepened my friendship with a divorced classmate, whom I met again at the reunion, and I'm enjoying a leisurely and fun life.